It's Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Welcome to your daily news update on Blip Brief. Small, but almost everything updated every weekday. Okay, let's kick things off right where the money is. The Indian markets. Today, looks like Indian equities are set to open higher. GIFT Nifty is already showing an upward tick, about 0.25%.
That's right. And it follows a pretty solid Tuesday where we saw gains of around 0.7% across the board.
So what's really fueling this morning's optimism? What's the read on investor confidence right now?
Well, the market's looking decidedly upbeat. A lot of it seems tied to anticipation around the U.S. Federal Reserve's big rate decision later today.
The Fed meeting. Always moves the needle.
Always. And domestically, we got a pretty clear signal from foreign institutional investors, the FIIs. They were net buyers yesterday, which is, a definite vote of confidence.
Okay, FII's buying is positive.
What else? And at the same time, the rupee kept strengthening against the U.S. dollar. That usually helps market sentiment, right?
Right.
What's particularly interesting, though, is the focus. We're seeing specific sectors getting attention: autos, metals, infrastructure, IT. It feels like targeted plays, not just a sort of broad optimism everywhere.
That's a sharp observation, especially when you look at the market's fear gauge. The VIX, the volatility index, is hovering near its lowest levels in quite some time.
It really is remarkably low.
For folks tracking sentiment, this isn't just less worry. It feels like a collective belief that maybe the worst of any potential market drops, and it might be behind us.
That seems to be the thinking. A low VIX suggests the market is pricing in some stability, maybe a calculated conviction that global headwinds are manageable, or maybe they're already baked in.
So for our listeners, what's the takeaway?
Well, it signals a potential shift, maybe moving away from purely defensive plays towards more strategic, longer-term positioning. As risk appetite slowly maybe comes back, it's about using that perceived stability.
Got it. And speaking of strategic moves, the IPO market is just buzzing. Urban Company's IPO, for instance, subscribed over 100 times. That's huge.
Incredible numbers, absolutely.
Does that automatically mean a massive listing pop?
Well, that massive subscription definitely catches the eye. But interestingly, the Urban Company CEO, Apiraj Singh Bal, he put it quite aptly, called it a responsibility, not a victory lap.
Interesting perspective.
Yeah, it tells us the focus isn't just on a flashy debut, but more on sustainable long-term strategy, especially with market fluctuations. It's a smart, mature stance.
Makes sense. Any other IPO news?
Yes. Grow, the investment platform, is also making waves. They've filed updated papers for their pretty substantial IPO, looking at around Rs 6,000, 7,000 crore, signals more big capital raising appetite in tech.
Okay, moving from IPOs to specific stocks, we're seeing some, eye-watering gains in certain areas. Defense and medtech seem particularly hot.
It's really a tale of two critical sectors right now. You've got two defense stocks that have just galloped ahead, posting gains over 180%.
Wow, 180%. What's behind that?
It's a mix, really. The Make in India push, solid domestic orders, India's growing reputation in defense manufacturing. It's not just security, it's an economic strategy playing out.
And medtech?
Simultaneously, 3 Indian medtech stocks look poised to tap into this massive opportunity, apparently worth around 4.4 lakh crore. It really points to a boom in healthcare innovation and infrastructure build-out here.
So government priorities, demographic shifts, creating these high-growth pockets.
Exactly. Clear signals there.
Now let's pivot a bit to the everyday consumer. We're seeing some moves in fast-moving consumer goods, FMCG, firms announcing price cuts. Seems linked to this GST 2.0 talk.
Yeah, this looks like a preemptive move by FMCG companies. GST 2.0, that's the expected next round of goods and services tax reforms, probably aiming for more rationalization, simplification.
So they're getting ahead of potential changes.
Seems like it. The key insight, I think, is that companies are anticipating a more consumer-friendly tax setup. This proactive approach, these price cuts, could potentially boost consumer spending. And that could be a powerful driver for the broader economy. Smart business, anticipating policy.
Makes sense. Okay, zooming out from consumer goods to India's energy landscape. Crucial area. We've seen amazing growth in renewables, but other challenges remain. Right.
India's renewable push is impressive, adding 23 gigawatts in just 5 months. That puts us third globally in power growth. It's significant.
And companies are adapting.
Some are. Look at Vedanta. They're still relying on coal for their core mining, but they're also aiming to seriously increase their renewable energy share. It's a kind of hybrid approach, a pragmatic transition.
But there's a but, isn't there?
There is. The power distribution companies, the DISCOMs, they're still in a precarious financial state, facing an unrecoverable revenue gap estimated at Rs 3 lakh crore. That really raises questions about the sector's long-term health without deeper structural reforms.
That structural reform question definitely hangs over things. Shifting to finance now. Any new policies or trends catching your eye? Banking, private sector investments.
Absolutely. The regulator is apparently considering giving more leeway, more flexibility to fund managers under the private sector national pension system, the NPS. The aim is to boost participation, make it more attractive.
So potentially better options for people saving in NPS.
Potentially, yes. More diverse, maybe more appealing choices. And on the banking side, what's quite fascinating is how banks are leaning into luxury homes to drive mortgage growth.
Luxury homes.
Really? Yeah, creating bespoke loan products specifically for affluent buyers. It's not just opportunistic, it suggests pretty robust demand at the high end of the property market. That segment seems less sensitive to general economic wobbles.
Interesting. And it seems corporate India is also changing how it gets money, moving beyond just bank loans.
Oh, definitely. This is a significant shift in the financial plumbing, you could say. Corporate India is increasingly tapping non-banking channels. Nearly half the total funds raised this fiscal year have come from equity markets, corporate bonds, NBFC loans.
So less reliance on traditional banks.
Exactly. The key insight is companies are seeking more flexible, perhaps cheaper, funding options. This diversification strengthens their balance sheets and signals a maturing, more complex financial market here.
Okay, let's talk trade. Despite all the global tensions, India's trade performance seems pretty resilient. What does that tell us?
The numbers are quite something. India's exports grew, what was it, 6.7% in August? Even with all the talk about potential tariff shocks.
That is resilient.
It really is. It's a testament, I think, to India's diversifying economy and its ability to adapt, find new markets. We're becoming less dependent on any single trading relationship.
But there are still friction points.
Yeah.
With the U.S., for example.
Oh, for sure. India and the U.S. are pushing for an early bilateral trade agreement, intensifying efforts there. But at the same time, the U.S. rejected India's request for WTO consultations on those controversial copper tariffs. So negotiations continue.
That push for diversification seems reflected in innovation, too. India's jumped up in the global rankings.
That's right. A really commendable leap to 38th position in the Global Innovation Index. It's substantial improvement, and it's not just for show. It attracts big players.
Like who?
Like ARM Holdings, the chip design giant. They're reportedly eyeing a major tie-up with India to expand their AI tech reach, planning to grow their team here significantly.
And the government's pushing this, too.
Very much so. The government aims to make India a product nation, starting with developing 25 strategic chipsets where the intellectual property is rooted right here in India. The insight. We're moving beyond services, aiming to be creators of core tech.
Big tech clearly sees the potential. Meta, for example.
Absolutely. Meta views India as a crucial growth engine for its massive global business messaging market, apparently a $10 billion market worldwide.
Why India specifically?
It just underscores our incredible digital adoption rates and the sheer scale of the population. It's a key battleground for global tech giants seeking their next big expansion. It means more innovation, more localized services coming our way in messaging.
Okay, and what about gold, the traditional safe haven, hitting new highs?
It certainly is. Gold has crossed a new milestone, trading over Rs 1.1 lakh per 10 grams. Big psychological level.
What's driving that surge?
It seems strongly linked to this ongoing de-dollarization trend we keep hearing about. Central banks, nations diversifying reserves away from the US dollar that directly boosts demand for gold as a stable alternative, pushes the price up.
But does it affect consumers?
That's the question. Jewelers are watching cautiously. They're concerned about how these record prices might impact demand during the upcoming festive season. It's that classic balancing act between investor demand and retail buying.
Right. Now, shifting away from markets, India has unfortunately faced some devastating weather events recently.
Yes, it's a somber note. Cloud bursts, heavy rains. They've caused terrible destruction in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. Tragically, multiple fatalities, hundreds stranded.
And elsewhere?
Yes, in Maharashtra's Jalgaon district as well, a cloudburst affected 10 villages, flooding hundreds of homes, impacting thousands of hectares of farmland. Huge losses. It's a stark reminder of our vulnerability to these extreme weather events, likely linked to climate change.
A difficult situation. On a different note, it's Prime Minister Modi's 75th birthday today.
Indeed, the nation's marking it with a welfare push. And interestingly, U.S. President Donald Trump personally called PM Modi to extend birthday wishes.
Any significance there?
Well, it sparked some hope maybe for a potential reset in U.S.-India ties, which have seen a bit of strain recently. It's a diplomatic gesture that certainly gets noticed.
Okay, and quickly, sports. Heard there was some drama with the Asia Cup cricket.
Oh, definitely some back and forth. The Pakistan Cricket Board initially threatened to pull out of the Asia Cup. It was over a dispute with the ICC about match referees.
Did they pull out?
No, in the end, they decided to play against UAE. Reportedly, there were significant financial reasons involved, something like a $16 million reason driving the decision. The referee dispute itself got resolved with a replacement official.
Money talks in sports, too.
Doesn't it just? And speaking of money in cricket, Apollo Tyres just won the bid for the front of jersey sponsorship for the Indian team. Outbid rivals, paying a massive RLS 579 crore. Shows the huge commercial power of Indian cricket.
Incredible sum.
Yeah.
Okay, let's broaden our view now. Globally, the U.S. Federal Reserve meeting today. Everyone's watching that one.
Absolutely. Investors are, well, on a knife edge, keenly anticipating what the Fed will do. Will it be a 25 basis point cut? Maybe even 50?
How are markets reacting ahead of it?
It's interesting. U.S. Treasury yields actually edged lower after initially rising on strong retail sales data, and the dollar weakened. It suggests markets are effectively betting the Fed will prioritize stimulating the economy. Push for easier money.
So, caution is the word.
Pretty much. That's likely why Wall Street ended lower yesterday, investors taking a cautious wait-and-see approach before the Fed speaks.
And oil prices. They've been on a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, quite volatile. Oil rose over 1% a barrel, steadying a bit near recent gains. A lot of that seems to be traders weighing the risk of disrupted Russian supplies.
Because of the Ukrainian drone attacks.
Exactly. Attacks on ports, refineries. That creates supply-side uncertainty. Combine that with the waiting game for the Fed decision, and you get this dynamic market.
Any other related developments?
Well, in a geopolitical twist, the European Commission is delaying its next round of sanctions on Russia, the 19th round, I think. Apparently amidst U.S. pressure to phase out Russian oil and gas faster, highlights ongoing friction among allies on how to handle that.
Right. How about China? How are they navigating all this global economic flux?
Well, on the finance side, Tencent Holdings managed to secure about $1.27 billion through an offshore yuan bond offering. Shows they still have access to key capital markets.
And domestically.
Domestically, Beijing announced wide-ranging measures to boost demand, promoting consumption in services like sports, entertainment. It's a clear pivot towards relying more on internal consumption for growth.
But not everything's smooth sailing?
Apparently not. NVIDIA's newest AI chip, the RTX 6000D, which was specifically tailored for the Chinese market, it's seen only lukewarm demand, reportedly. That's a bit unexpected, raises questions about the appetite for specialized tech there, or maybe its competitiveness.
And unfortunately, geopolitical tensions elsewhere remain very high.
Regrettably, yes. Israel has launched a ground assault on Gaza City. The EU sharply slammed the attack, warning about the worsening humanitarian crisis. It's a deeply concerning escalation.
And elsewhere.
Simultaneously, Russia and Belarus are conducting joint war games, rehearsing tactical nuclear weapon launches. That kind of development definitely adds to global instability. It's a potent, if chilling, signal.
What about U.S. foreign policy? Any key moves or surprising developments?
Well, President Trump's state visit to the UK was interesting. Google immediately announced a huge $6.8 billion investment in Britain. While it's a business decision, it certainly helps project strong transatlantic ties, despite, differences on other issues.
A TikTok saga continues.
It does. Trump delayed the ban again for the fourth time, claiming we have a deal. We'll see. But internally, there's still pushback. The University of California is actually suing the Trump administration over alleged actions to stifle academic freedom. Shows ongoing resistance to some policies.
And has India weighed in on any of these global hotspots? Like the Israel-Qatar situation?
Yes, India has. It unequivocally condemned the violation of Qatar's sovereignty following those recent Israeli attacks on Doha, called for a peaceful resolution.
Consistent messaging from India there.
It aligns with India's consistent stance, yes. Upholding national sovereignty, promoting de-escalation. It's a clear diplomatic signal on a very sensitive issue.
Okay, let's unpack this. Shifting gears completely now. From terrestrial geopolitics, we're taking a huge leap off-planet, diving deep into some truly fascinating findings from Mars. Could we maybe be closer than ever to answering that age-old question? Are we alone Is there life beyond Earth?
Right, here's where it gets really interesting, potentially groundbreaking. NASA's Perseverance rover seems to have delivered its most compelling clue yet. Back in June 2024, it found this cluster of mudstones in an old riverbed.
Mudstones. Why are they significant?
Because on Earth, mudstones are fantastic at preserving traces of ancient aquatic life. Think of them like geological time capsules, perfect for trapping evidence of microbial ecosystems from billions of years ago.
And there was one specific rock that stood out.
Absolutely. An arrowhead-shaped slab, maybe 2 feet across. They've dubbed it Chayava Falls. They drilled a sample from it called Sapphire Canyon.
Yeah.
And the chemistry, well, it's fascinating.
What do they find?
The whole area around Chayava Falls is rich in oxidized iron, phosphorus, sulfur, and critically, organic carbon. That's exactly the kind of chemical menu microbes could potentially feed on.
Okay, interesting ingredients.
But it gets better.
Yeah.
There are these colorful spots on the rock containing a mineral called greigite. Now, some microbes on Earth actually excrete greigite, and they also found vivianite, another mineral, often found near decaying organic matter on Earth.
Wow. So you've got the right environment, the right food source, and minerals potentially linked to biological processes.
Exactly. For a planetary scientist, seeing that combination in one place on Mars is incredibly tantalizing.
So what does it all mean? I mean, is this it, the smoking gun for Martian life? Or are we setting ourselves up for another disappointment? We've been down this road before.
That's the crucial question, isn't it? How significant is this? Katie Stack Morgan, who's Perseverance's project scientist, called these findings a potential biosignature.
Potential biosignature. What does that mean exactly?
It means they think it's statistically more likely to be the result of biology than just some weird non-biological geology. It's not proof, but it's a strong hint. And Sean Duffy, NASA's interim administrator, went even further. He called it the clearest sign of life that we've ever found on Mars.
Those are powerful words from NASA leadership.
Very powerful. The implication is that the evidence here seems to have crossed a new threshold of probability beyond previous ambiguous signs.
But as you said, we've heard claims before. Percival Lowell and his canals, the Viking lander, results back in the 70s, those supposed worm-like shapes in Martian meteorites.
Right, which were later explained by inorganic processes. Science, especially for a claim this big, rightly demands extraordinary evidence. The scientific community has learned to be very skeptical.
So how does this finding stack up against that history of maybe jumping the gun?
Well, connecting it to that bigger picture, the bar for definitive proof is still incredibly high. Even Kirby Runyon, a researcher at the Planetary Science Institute, while calling the geochemistry very reminiscent of life, emphasizes it's not yet definitive proof.
So still circumstantial.
Essentially, yes. But what makes this different, perhaps, is the convergence of multiple lines of evidence. You have the mudstone context the right place. You have the specific minerals like greigite and vivianite potential byproducts. And you have organic carbon, the building blocks. Individually, maybe ambiguous, together, it makes a much more compelling, though still circumstantial case than we've seen before. It feels like a significant step up.
Okay, so if this is such a promising lead, potentially the best yet, what are the next steps? How do we get from potential biosignature to actual undeniable proof?
Well, logically, there are two main paths. Send more sophisticated instruments back to Chayava Falls to analyze it in more detail right there on Mars. Or, and this is the big one,
Bring the sample back to Earth.
exactly, bring that Sapphire Canyon sample, and maybe others, back here. Analyze them in state-of-the-art labs on Earth with instruments far too large and complex to send to Mars. That's where you could potentially get the high-resolution, unambiguous answers.
That sounds like the obvious next step. Are we doing it?
And here's the profound, almost unbelievable paradox. The current U.S. administration has actually recommended major budget cuts for NASA's science program.
Cuts? Now?
Yes, cuts significant enough that they would effectively cancel the Mars sample return mission, the very mission designed to bring these kinds of samples back. It even threatens funding for 2 healthy Mars orbiters that Perseverance needs to communicate with Earth.
Wait, so we find the clearest sign of life ever found on Mars, and the plan is to cut the funding to confirm it and even potentially lose contact.
That appears to be the situation. Despite finding these incredibly tantalizing potential signatures, the official plan, driven by budget constraints, seems to be quite literally walking away from it for the foreseeable future.
That's astonishing.
It really highlights what we might be giving up, this potential bridge to understanding life's place in the universe, possibly left half-built. It raises some deep and, frankly, pretty unsettling questions about our priorities when we're potentially on the cusp of such a monumental discovery.
A truly fascinating and slightly frustrating cliffhanger in the search for life on Mars. And just before you go, a quick note. This deep dive commentary was put together using advanced AI. We always strive for accuracy, but please do cross-verify any crucial information yourself. Your informed decisions are what matter most.